Hello, everyone.
Happy Friday, everyone. Hard to believe that we're now past mid-April, and hopefully those of you streaming, thank you, by the way, weren't impacted by any storms here in the Midwest. Last evening, we apparently in Omaha, so Omaha's right on the border with Iowa, and in eastern Nebraska and western Iowa, there was apparently 6 tornadoes that touched down last night. One, I think the closest one was about 10 or 15 minutes from us. So thankful that we were on the right side of that.
Definitely. Absolutely. Yes. And some places got baseball-sized hail, too. Yeah. So we avoided all of that. We're very thankful. We had just finished putting in our garden beds and getting everything set up for the spring and bunny-proofing it all. And I thought a tornado was going to undo all of it. So I'm glad that it didn't.
Yes. Hello. So we got quite a bit to cover this week. So I'll go over the deals. Some new ones this week. YouTube TV still offering their $23 off a month for the first 2 months. It's through end of July. Fubo slash their $30 off to $20 off for the first month, so $65 and $75 for Pro and Elite. DirecTV, which we're going to discuss here in a bit with their news, is currently offering $10 off a month for the first 3 months for Choice and Ultimate, making them $80 and $110. Sling is still half off for the first month with 1 month free of unlimited DVR. Apple TV Plus mentioned this last week that their deal ends on the 24th, so that's $2.99 a month for the first 3 months. And Max just came out with a new deal this week. I want to say it was Tuesday or Wednesday. They're offering a deal if you prepay for a year. So basic with ads is $80, so a savings of $20. Standard is $140, so a savings of $30. And premium for $170, so a savings of $40. So,
yeah. So, even though I hate just hearing you rattle them off, the upper end that you're saving down from, it keeps getting higher, and I hate that. But I guess all the more reason to take advantage of those deals.
Only if you really like Max, though.
Agreed.
Yeah, I would prefer it if it was a monthly deal, but nope.
Same. So let's go ahead into our first story, and this is actually on Netflix. I want to share this article with you that we saw in the Wall Street Journal. So Netflix plans to grow to $1 trillion in just 5 years. In market capitalization by 2030. It came out this week with that somewhat bold statement. So it plans to double its revenue within the next 5 years. Right now, Netflix has a current market capitalization of almost $400 billion. So you can tell that is pretty aggressive in how they want to grow. And their revenue was $39 billion last year, which is just crazy. just wild. John and I were talking about that this week, that they are making so much money. But in this Wall Street Journal article, they said Netflix doesn't disclose its ad revenue.
They made that announcement last year.
Research firm eMarketer estimates that U.S. ad revenues for the streaming giant will top $2.15 billion this year. And executives also have a goal of tripling Netflix's operating income by 2030 from $10 billion last year. So how is Netflix going to do this? By having more subscribers and earning more revenue from those subscribers. So they released their earnings yesterday and pointed to how successfully they currently are and the path they need to continue on to achieve their goals. Netflix had $10.54 billion in revenue last quarter, and all estimates for this quarter are higher than many anticipated at a revenue goal of $43.5 to $44.5 billion. They had roughly 301 million subscribers at the end of last year, and they want to increase that to 410 million by 2030, so an increase of just over 35%, or another 109 million subscribers. So what are the key ways they're going to do this? 1, adding more live sports, such as the NFL, and 2, continuing to spend on content. Obviously, sports is part of that. They're currently spending $18 billion annually And they're going to focus on more international subscribers because they've basically saturated the US market. And despite subscribers not like us saying, I mean, we don't want ads on Netflix, so we're paying more to not have them. And lots of people don't like ads. But even though they were many subscribers were forced into that ad-supported plan from the cheapest ad-free plan, Basic, last year, people are choosing it more now. So in this same Wall Street Journal article, they said the company's ad-supported tier, which launched in November of 2022, started slow but has gained momentum. 43% of U.S. customer signups in February were for that ad-supported tier. That's a little bit higher than 40% who chose it in January. So it has room to grow its advertising, meaning, bottom line, like John said, it's likely we'll see more ads in the content. Netflix actually has one of the lightest ad loads in the space, so we expect that to increase. And it's been reported that new ads like pause ads, so when you pause your content and an ad comes up on the screen, that those are going to be likely to be introduced. And it's also been widely reported that Netflix is going to replace Microsoft as its current ad partner is Microsoft, and it's going to replace that using their own technology instead. So why should we care about all this? Well, Netflix wants to become more dominant than it already is. And this is in an era where many platforms are struggling to get or maintain profitability. Netflix doesn't have that issue. It is just putting its foot on the gas pedal and going as fast as it can. So we think we're likely to see more ads, even though that light load of about 4 minutes per hour, maybe that won't change. That's what the Wall Street Journal reported, but we do think we'll see those pause screen ads. And we don't necessarily believe that that's the case. We think we're going to see more ads because ad revenue often surpasses that of money gained from subscriptions. And with that aggressive goal, we just don't see how it's going to get it from international subscription signups alone. And then finally, I think we should expect to see more international content on Netflix.
Absolutely we will, I think. And look at some of the top shows on it, like Adolescence, which we haven't watched yet. That's not an American show, and so we're going to continue to see more international. And we're going to discuss that, Paul. Great comments. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Great question, Matthew, on do we think linear TV will become a thing of the past when ESPN launches its service in the fall? Will live TV services decline? I think we're going to discuss this here in a minute. I think if you're someone like Sling, I would be concerned because Sling, it's one of its key selling points is that it's the most affordable way to watch ESPN, at least ESPN, the main channel. I would be concerned if I was Sling. And we're going to discuss here in a bit further concerns about Sling. And I think linear TV will continue to go away. I don't know that it will be totally eliminated quite yet. I think it's going to continue to wither on the vine, though. So moving into the really one of the big news this week came out on Sunday that DirecTV went through a rebrand and reorganization to streamline things for subscribers. Per their press release, and this is salesy, I'm going to read it, quote, choosing what you watch and how you watch it should be simple. That's why DirecTV delivers more choice, flexibility, and control all under a single brand, making it easier than ever to stream the programming you want on the devices you want, all satellite free and with no annual contracts or hidden fees. First, select the content you want to stream at the price you want to pay. Each offering is available month to month and designed to evolve with your viewing preferences, unquote. So if you remember back years ago, they started with DirecTV Now, I believe was the name of it, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we used the service a few times, and then it eventually evolved into DirecTV Stream. That's gone now. So if you search for DirecTV Stream online, it's going to redirect you to the DirecTV site. So they're no longer going to have the confusing DirecTV Stream or DirecTV via internet, which was satellite. Companies putting everything under the DirecTV umbrella. So you can get a true cable replacement, premium cable replacement plan, one of their genre packs, or use its free offering. And so there's no longer a 2-year contract for DirecTV. In today's age, I don't know why many people would sign up for a 2-year contract. And they also streamline their packages, so pricing is going to be the same across the board. There were some slight tweaks with pricing. So they have so the true cable replacement plans, they're calling now their signature plans, which is entertainment for $85 a month with 90 plus channels, choice, which is 108 with the RSN fees and 125 plus channels, ultimate, that's 138, and 160 plus channels, and Premier, a whopping $183 with the RSNs and a boatload of premium channels. And when you sign up, they're claiming new customers are going to receive the same pricing for 2 years. Unless you absolutely want a true premium cable replacement, unless that's the case, we don't recommend getting that, or unless you really need the RSNs. We think overall it's a good service. We just don't like the pricing. Now, the one thing that I don't like that is true DirecTV fashion is they're keeping their device, the DirecTV Gemini Air, but they're not letting you buy it. It's a add-on, they're calling it leasing it for $10 a month. It does have some perks. It offers universal search. It lets you search across various streaming apps like Prime Video, Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu.
But sorry, just have to interject. I mean, you can do that with Roku devices, and they're like one-time small fee.
Yeah, and so they're saying that current legacy users of DirecTV via internet can maintain their current packages without upgrading, providing they already use a Gemini set-top box. This also provides access to the My Free DirecTV channels in addition to the third-party apps integration. And so really the key difference is how you are going to access your streaming, either on your own device, like Nicole said, through a Roku, or through the Gemini device. So we like the rebranding from the aspect that they're no longer requiring contracts. In today's age, there's no need for a contract. And we also like that it's simplifying things for subscribers. No longer have to know which one you're signing up for. You're just signing up for what you want to watch, what channels you want. As always, though, we don't like the pricing of the plans and because they're far too expensive, even though we've never had issues in testing the service. We also don't like the required rental of the Gemini devices. Just let people buy them. But what we do like is that it's abundantly clear that DirecTV is 100% fully leaning into streaming. That's where they're going, and that they've launched the skinny bundles for people who want to spend less and somewhat customize what they get. We think the My Sports option is too expensive, but My Entertainment we think is a really compelling value offering, especially when you look at getting the Disney bundle and Max included. And our hope is that they're going to be successful with that. We're actually working on a video now comparing it to Sling Blue, as we've had a number of viewers comment on that. And we're testing that out just to see what it's like. And so that's what we really like the direction DirecTV is going from that aspect.
Yep. So let's move on to a different story, so a little bit lighthearted, continuing to take a look at Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune and what kind of streaming home could they find. We've talked about this a few times over the last several weeks, the ongoing legal battle between CBS and Sony over these two shows. Just as a quick refresher, in case you haven't been following it, this all unfolded when Sony first sued CBS in October, and at issue is the distribution of the two shows. Different restraining orders have been put in place over the past few months. I mean, who knew these game shows could get so heated? Basically, the two companies are suing each other because, and here's why, the two shows are two of the most popular and lucrative syndicated shows in the U.S. Like we said, Sony sued CBS in October of being in breach of contract, and then CBS countersued in November, saying it was trying to use the court system to get out of the contract between the companies and win distribution rights of those two shows for free. According to the Hollywood Reporter that we have on screen here, says, at the heart of the lawsuit are allegations that CBS licensed the shows at below market rates, failed to maximize ad revenue, and has overall rendered itself incapable of living up to its end of the agreement with Sony by implementing far-reaching layoffs that have allegedly decimated teams responsible for the show's distribution, marketing, and advertising sales. So in short, the issue is money. Shocker. We are curious, though, as to how much more the two combined could make, as it generated $175 million in national syndication advertising revenue last year. And Sony has until April 28th to respond, and then CBS has to reply back by May 9th. Exclusive same-day rights to new episodes will be available in September of 2028, when all pre-existing syndication deals expire. So unfortunately, this will likely continue to go on until then, or until some kind of agreement comes together. We hope it does, because it would be nice, for people not to have to kind of find some back way YouTube way to stream it.
And it wasn't because this week first, one judge found in favor of Sony, and then the next day one found in favor of CBS. So it's a mess, but it's coming down to money, so it's not surprising. So moving on to our next topic, we got somewhat of an update on the ESPN direct-to-consumer app Flagship, which is on track to launch in the fall. So ESPN chair Jimmy Pitaro had an interview with Sports Business Journal last week, and he discussed the app, gave his thoughts on MLB and UFC rights, and I thought it was a pretty interesting interview. When he was asked about the launch, he said, quote, "We're on schedule to launch this fall. It's helpful to think about it in two ways. First off, we will be making all of our channels, all of our content available direct to consumer for the first time. Part two is a significantly enhanced ESPN app." And so if we remember back, I want to say it was about a month or so ago, it was reported that we should know the name of the service here now, probably in another month or 6 weeks, and pricing will come out closer to the summer. So I would imagine that August is 4 months from now. So I would assume, based off of that, in the next 2 to 3 months, we'll probably know pricing. So this isn't going to be, he was clear that this isn't going to be a new app, rather a fully updated one with everything integrated from the ESPN ecosystem, from fantasy and betting to personalization. And then they say, quote, from the Sports Business Journal, "But ESPN has a fine line to walk with distributors as it goes into this DTC future. We've seen the company navigate complex talks with DirecTV and Charter, and those deals had elements with an eye on that DTC future. Next up, talks with Comcast and YouTube TV," which will be interesting to see how that plays out. He then next moved on to discussing MLB, and as we discussed a few weeks ago, ESPN got out of their deal recently with the MLB. However, Pitaro was known as a baseball fan, and he struck a chord that ESPN is still interested in getting some sort of package with MLB. He said, quote, "I have to be fiscally responsible and disciplined. It does not mean that we are not interested in remaining in business with Major League Baseball. I've been consistent in that we are still interested in national games. We are interested in other components of our package. We're interested in postseason, but we are also very, very interested in local, whether that's in market or out of market," unquote. And so I think baseball is going to go the way that the NFL has, NBA has, because reports have come out that Peacock and Amazon are both looking at potentially getting baseball, WBD as well, I believe, more so. And so I think some splintering there is going to continue to happen, and ESPN will have some eventually. And then he moved onto the UFC, which is important because their exclusive negotiating window for the two ended on Tuesday. So UFC has hit the open market. He said, I wouldn't read too much into that window ending. We're not hyper-focused on that window. We know that there's going to be interest in the UFC, and that's great for the sport. It's great for them, but we remain interested in trying to figure something out with those guys. But Taro is on record as saying UFC is important to them, and it's well known that ESPN wants to attract young viewers to the app, and the UFC helps do that for them. And but what he didn't discuss during the interview, what also stuck out to me, was how they're going to use Disney Plus within the new DTC app, when or if ESPN is going to come to a deal with the NFL media. He did not discuss that at all. He did not discuss what they're going to do with F1 as their rights expire at the end of this year, and it's also very popular. Didn't discuss pricing at all either. And so there's a lot there, a lot of moving parts I would imagine that they're trying to work out, which I believe will help directly influence pricing. Yes, from everything that's been reported, SEC Plus and ACC Plus should be included. I really think on the pricing, it's going to come down to these negotiations. I think 30, I'm hoping that that's going to be the top end of it. But this is Disney. They are going to make it confusing, and they are going to make it more expensive than need be. I would envision something like similar to what DirecTV did when they launched My Sports. What was it, $20 or $30 off for the first, I can't remember, a number of months if you had signed up within it's like a 4 to 6 week window. I would anticipate something like that happening to try and lure in subscribers. And do you think it's better a deal for a sports fan to go to live TV streaming instead of subscribing to Flagship? That's a great question. Really need to know the pricing on that. What do you think, Nicole?
I think it also depends on what other live TV do you want besides Flagship. Do you want your locals? Can you not get them with an antenna? And are there any other cable networks that are not sports oriented that you want for your family? Because if you want more of a well-rounded thing, package, then maybe live TV streaming gives you that. If you only want sports. Yeah,
for us, we will likely go because ESPN is the only content that we watch on a live aspect. Some Big 12 games are on Fox Sports channels. So we would, depending on the pricing, we would probably combine the two, assuming that's cheaper. That we typically go with Sling during the football season. So that's probably what we would do in all likelihood.
That's true. I mean, and the Turner networks. So, Flagship obviously isn't going to have those. So it's still not a complete sports solution. Yeah. We know they were going for that with Venue, and it didn't work out. So
even then, it was only like 55% of all sports.
So yeah, something to keep watching for sure. Now in our next story, we're gonna stick in the world of sports here for another minute. This came out just last night. Sports Business Journal reported that the NFL is shopping around what it's calling a mini rights package. That there are 3 main parties interested in this, and that's YouTube TV, Amazon, and WBD. And mini really is the right word here because it's looking to be one of 2 games that would begin the season. The game of interest seems to be the Sao Paulo, Brazil game featuring the Chargers. Although it's possible a different game could be chosen that could feature the Chiefs. And you might remember this past season, Peacock was the exclusive streamer of the Eagles-Packers game in Brazil. And this game that's being shopped around is effectively that game. Sports Business Journal is reporting that YouTube TV appears to be the current favorite to stream the game, but YouTube TV and WBD don't have the infrastructure to stream the game. So the on-air talent and the production, that's obviously not the case for Amazon. With their Thursday night football games, they have that. And per the SBJ, YouTube TV has held Sunday Ticket out of market package since 2023, but it's only retransmitting CBS and Fox feeds of the Sunday afternoon slate. So for both YouTube, and WBD, this step would require them to either hire talent and production staff from another rights holder,
like Netflix did at
right,
Christmas,
or build it from scratch in a short window. All the rights holders and NFL declined to comment. So why is the NFL doing this? Clearly it's the money, right? The Eagles-Packers game had roughly 15 million viewers, and it's arguable that either one of these proposed games could net just as many viewers. And long term, it's also about the money. So with YouTube TV and Amazon, they could further establish their relationship with those platforms. That could pay off down the road. WBD hasn't had NFL rights since TNT had a partial season package from 1990 to 1997, with the NFL rights window opening back up at the end of the 2029 season, or when the Paramount Skydance merger finalizes. So could WBD be wanting to get a foot in and make a play for more at that point down the road? Having discussions with WBD brings one more potentially interested partner to the table, and that also includes Netflix. So whatever way you look at it, it's about the money. And when will we know what platform is going to get the game? Well, it's going to be soon, according to the Sports Business Journal. They said YouTube and WBD's upfronts are both on May 14th, and Amazon's is on May 12th. The NFL is probably going to release its schedule somewhere in the May 13th to 15th range. So it makes sense that hopefully we should know in about a month's time.
Yeah, and as Paul brought up, could Netflix be the front runner for that game? Everything I've read this morning, Netflix has not been mentioned, but it would not surprise me to see them come out as a possible dark horse in this. Reading everything from their earnings release yesterday and from the reports from the Wall Street Journal article, they're wanting to put their foot on the gas, as Nicole said, and getting something like this would, it doesn't obligate them to a huge package. Obviously it's one game, but could conceivably get them more people, especially if it's the Chiefs, who are popular and arguably more popular internationally, to get more subscribers. And it'll be fascinating to see. If it would not surprise me at all to see Netflix come out, but that's just my thoughts.
And also, both Netflix and the NFL really want to grow their audience internationally. So getting that one game for Netflix, maybe they'd be willing to pay more than everybody else for it.
Yeah, and great question, Jeffrey, on Fubo and their skinny bundles. I know the sports one is sort of similar slate as the flagship service, late summer, early fall, right in time for college football and NFL football. So last story today for the week is problems with Dish and Sling. They've sort of been having issues for a while now, and Cord Cutters News reported yesterday that problems could be brewing at EchoStar, the parent company of Dish and Sling, as they fired two top executives. Let go was a executive vice president and group president of video services, and the senior VP of acquisition marketing for Dish and Sling. One of the key reasons cited for causing the dismissals is the ongoing debt issue facing Dish and its inability to merge with DirecTV. And per Cord Cutters News, an EchoStar rep said Gary and Jinx, was the name of the two execs, departed the business and will be pursuing new opportunities. They built strong teams that are well positioned to serve our business and help us achieve our goals. We do not have more to share at this time, unquote. And they were let go, so that's just spin from EchoStar. And this is another in a line of recent dismissals or firings of top Dish and or Sling execs. There have been, as we have discussed multiple times, there have been on and off discussions for a possible merger between Dish and DirecTV. But the most recent instance, which was November of 24, was scrapped by DirecTV bondholders as they did not want to take on Dish's sizable debt, which was just shy of $10 billion, and it would have required DirecTV to be on the hook for about just over $1.5 billion. It's no surprise that Dish and Sling are continuing to struggle. EchoStar has been trying to leave the TV market for some time, and it's been obviously unsuccessful in doing so. Dish has been losing subscribers and really is honestly no longer really relevant given the number of people leaving cable and satellite. But our thinking here really is more so around Sling. The streaming app has been struggling to stay around 2 million subscribers, which pales against a service like YouTube TV. And, ultimately they're serving two different people. And aside from growing Freestream, which is a solid, fast platform, it feels as if they've done little to improve or change its offering. And the same is not true for DirecTV. As we discussed at the top, they just rebranded this week, putting everything under one umbrella. And beyond that, more importantly, they rolled out their skinny bundles in the last couple of months that go right to the heart of Sling, particularly my entertainment bundle, which is Sling is going to be a notable competitor to that. It has similar channels. It's cheaper. Similar if you're looking for entertainment and lifestyle type of content. Other apps have innovated recently as well, such as Max adding multi-view, and its Racer Driver Cam. Fubo just this week announced that they're going to be sending team-specific game alerts to subscribers. And worse yet, Sling could lose another edge when Flagship comes out from ESPN. Depending on the price point and the bundling options that Disney makes available, it could create some even stiffer, more significant headwinds for Sling, as it's currently the most affordable option to get ESPN. So in short, ultimately, I think it's time to adapt or die for Sling. It's tough to say that because we have used Sling pretty much ever since it's come out, on and off, over the past decade. They need to adapt or die if that's still possible. And it's such an affordable way to get content relative to the premium replacement services, but that may no longer be enough, is our thinking. So it'll be fascinating to see over these next few months what's going to happen with Sling. If they just continue to wither on the vine, someone buys them, or what. Yeah. We hope that it sticks around.
It's been several years, too, since they did a big advertising push. I remember seeing the commercials on TV with Ron from Parks and Rec. I can't think of the actor's name. I just remember that campaign they ran, and I just bring that up because that shows that it's been a while. It's been a while since they've put some serious money behind marketing the service. Just as an observer, I don't know the back, insider details or anything. But it just makes me wonder if the debt is going to be what ends up bringing down Sling.
Yeah, and some questions there. Paul on, is WBD still only carrying the Pac-2 games? I know I read this week that that Oregon State and Washington State are still in negotiations with the CW, so that could become a possibility. And next one is, do you think WBD is going to exist in the big sports market and bid for smaller sports rights? That's tough to say. That could be part of the reasoning why they might be going after this NFL game. I read an article this week where David Zaslav was interviewed about his thoughts on the economy and what that role could play in consolidation for regulatory approval. I find it difficult to see how they are going to stay in the big market.
In that article, John, didn't he say it's either consolidate or look at spinning, like breaking up the company?
Well, we know that that's what they're wanting to do, to have the streaming and their studio in one and have all the linear networks. Even though HBO would stay with the streaming and the studio, all the other linear networks would spin off. And so
just kind of goes back to an earlier question about the future of linear TV as well.
Yeah.
The WBD wanting to completely get away from that, and others too, kind of shows where things are going, I think.
I think they would need to probably merge with someone. I think them with Peacock or something would be a more compelling option and more, I guess, ability to try and stay in with the major sports.
And yet they're a bit hamstrung. They can't just consolidate. It requires regulatory approval, so it's a question mark for them.
Yeah. So
it could, things don't go the way they want. Maybe they don't make it. It's kind of wild to think. But.
Yeah. And one last question, Paul asking about should Air TV customers jump to Tableau? How long have we?
Yeah, we actually had to do that. So we really like Air TV, and I really like the way it integrates with Sling Free Stream, but they've just been having some technical issues that we can't get resolved that make it kind of unusable for us. So I'd say about a month ago or so,
within the last couple of months,
we shifted over. We've had Tableau, but we shifted back over to a Tableau device to record our things airing on our local networks and watch things that way. So
overall, we've been relatively pleased with it.
I would take a look at it. I think it's pretty comparable, although again, it doesn't integrate into Sling Free Stream, but it's fine as a standalone. It's easy enough. They redid their app. It's easy enough to get in there and find what you want to watch. And then what I like about it too is if you don't want to necessarily stream, you still have that antenna, connect straight to your TV. You can watch directly off of that if you're on some kind of data limitation or something. But the Tableau is a great option for recording things off your local networks and then watching them later.
Yep. Well, thank you for sticking around a bit longer, everyone. We will plan to be here next week, so the 25th. And happy Easter weekend to all who celebrate. And have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.